The following podcast includes profanity, sexual references, crude innuendos, possible nudity, and much more, and may be considered offensive to those with small children, chihuahuas, an alleged photograph of Bigfoot, issues with the excessive use of the word fuck, and anyone who does not like New York City. Consider yourself informed that the duration of this podcast may cause you to experience an overwhelming sensation of butthurt.
One, two, three into the four. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the...
It's Tuesday, June 2nd, and this is not another atheist podcast. I'm your I'm not your underwear wearing host, Keith.
I'm your hoodie wearing red wedding host, Jenn.
Yeah, I guess we both totally kind of botched that one. I don't wing it very well some days. So, Jenn, how are you doing tonight?
I'm now to the point that I'm so deep in Game of Thrones that when I'm really mad at somebody, I automatically think of the red wedding.
Solid.
I think I either need to go full into the obsession or I need to seriously take a break.
Little column A, little column B can't hurt, I guess, but I'm not one to talk when it comes to
I'm only doing this because Jon Snow is so fucking hot. Damn that. Damn. Little bastard. Literally, he's actually a bastard.
Alright, well, we haven't really formalized a schedule as to how we're going to start doing these things. Usually we start off with stories, but I figured, it's episode 5, so I think it can be psychologically satisfying for us to take our first email. This is from our one listener who I know has been listening to every show because I've been forwarding them links. He's the guy I was talking to leading up to this. I was kind of getting some thoughts off of him, bouncing ideas off, and as we move forward, he's helping critique and let us know about any various sound issues that come out, and he gets to preview the episode before we really post them online. So, Jim, thank you for writing, and let's get to the email. So he is our, as he puts it, a long-time listener, first-time caller, and he's had a couple of thoughts listening to the past few episodes. Recently, he was on about Jen's thoughts on public's reaction to Sansa's rape on Game of Thrones and how opposed they are in their reactions to the rape of a real person.
Which we touched on last week.
Yes. End of episode number 4.
Whatever.
So what he goes on to say is that people have watched Sansa grow up and go from sweet innocent to a woman whose life has sucked donkey balls since she arrived in King's Landing. I don't really know where that is, so okay.
Just start watching the fucking show.
We've been over this. It'll be an addiction. But following the fact that her life is full of suckitude, we see her get married to someone who is a known psychopath, and according to him, everybody gets offended and outraged because they know what's coming but can't prevent it. A real woman being assaulted, on the other hand, sadly, we as the general public have no immediate emotional connection to her. It's not that we don't have the empathy, we care. We wish it hadn't happened to her, but we don't have the connection to her that we do with this fictional character. Excuse me. Jen, response?
I'm wondering if I should just read my email back. Okay, so, we watch this little girl grow up, and, she's married off to some fucking psychopath that flays people and shit alive. Yeah, fine, whatever. Why can't we attach that same thought process to actual rape victims? Like, hey, this girl was a little girl growing up, too. She grew up, too, and maybe she had it fucked up, maybe she didn't. But why can't we apply this thought process to actual fucking human beings that, live and breathe and don't end a rape scene when they yell cut?
Well, I think what Jim was getting at is it's not that we don't care and it's not that we don't feel a sense of outrage. It's that people have developed more of a personal connection having watched this character, kind of grow up.
So, why can't we sit here and think about other girls that grew up?
Because we've actually watched it and witnessed it. Anyways, we're going to end up coming full circle on that one several times. So let's just move on. So, he goes on. He discusses the girl raped at the party. The rape was recorded and posted to social media.
Steubenville, Ohio rape, yeah.
Yeah, and what offends Jim the most about this case is that the fact that the defendants were football players and the girl was accused of trying to ruin the lives of these two fine young athletes. The question was asked, why would she want to destroy their chances at a college career? And who knows, maybe they could have gone on to play professionally. What kind of hateful girl would do that to these two upstanding young men? And I I agree wholeheartedly with Jim here, because he says it goes beyond victim blaming to victim hating, and that's flat out what it is, because it's basically
And that
saying,
is what it is. And I'm not going to sit here and
how
deny
dare
that.
how dare you have been in that situation, and how dare you try to ruin their lives by asking them to actually pay the consequences, because, God forbid. So, and then he kind of sends us some nice little accolades. But as I've said, he's been providing me with a lot of feedback, and really without him, I don't think the show would kind of function the way it does, because he's offered up a fair few opinions and even thrown me a couple of stories and helped me refine my own thoughts. But he also he does apologize on behalf of Canada and Calgary specifically for Ted Cruz, and I second him in that motion.
You don't have to apologize. We all know he's a fucking idiot. We all just look at him like, come on. You were born in Canada, you're Hispanic, and you're against fucking immigration. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What? Really? These laws are made for people like you. I mean, seriously?
Well, and wasn't he one of the idiots who was all up in arms over Obama and the
birther issue.
Thank you. That's what it was called. I knew there was a funky term for it.
Yeah. Was your dad a citizen when you were born? No.
No.
You were born in Canada. Canada. Just because they look white doesn't mean it's the same fucking country. Then again, I'm making a total assumption. I have absolutely zero idea of the racial makeup of Canada. Like, I have no idea whatsoever about it.
Depending on where you go. Sometimes
I really don't know. I don't even fucking know, dude. I don't know if you have Chinese people. I don't know if you have black people. I don't know if you have Hispanic people. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
No, we don't have any Chinese. We have no Spanish people. We don't even know what a black person looks like outside of the.
I don't know. Okay, I really don't know a lot of shit about Canada. You were just kind of those quiet cousins that, like, you saw at the family reunion and waved to, and they were kind of cool to kind of sit there for a night and be like, yeah, okay, you're cool, and then you just don't talk to them anymore.
We've got a lot more land and a lot less people.
Fuckers.
And probably a few more moose.
Moose are cool. Until their shit starts shutting, like, the skin hangs out off. That's gross. That's disgusting. Anyway.
Springtime with the majestic moose.
It reminds me of, like, guys who have, like, saggy ball sack skin? You know what I'm talking about? Like, some guys' balls are, like, really firm and, like, the skin's, like, all up on there. And then you have the guys that are like, what did you do? Throw 2 chickens in a fucking wrinkled Ziploc bag? That's what the skin hanging off the moose reminds me of. The saggy ball sack skin.
I was going to say it reminds me more of skin tags, but now I'm too busy wondering if guys get skin tags on their balls. Ew.
I have to research this.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Okay, we're going to move on now. So this is a story that is everywhere. Jen, you and I have just been giggling our asses off about this. Josh Duggar and the child molestation.
And we don't mean giggling like
we're not
it's funny
giggling at the
happened.
victims.
No, we don't mean that.
We're
giggling at the hypocrisy.
There's a huge irony in this, especially since some of the girls he molested were his sisters. Now, I can only imagine how they feel. This is something we're going to touch on a little later, is this whole cult of purity thing. So we'll discuss that later. I'm going to shelve it. But I'm going to start off by reading his quote-unquote apology from his Facebook page. 12 years ago, as a young teenager, I acted inexcusably, for which I am extremely sorry and deeply regret. I hurt others, including my family and close friends. I confess this to my parents, who took several steps to help me address the situation. Note, none of those were actually taking him to the fucking cops or getting him any fucking help.
Actually, no, they did take him to a cop who was a family friend, who quote-unquote gave him a stern talking to, and was later arrested and is now serving 50-some-odd years in prison for possession of child.
Yeah, that's right, too.
Now that is irony!
I'm not going to draw a causal connection there. Anyways, back to it. We spoke with the authorities where I confessed my wrongdoing, and my parents arranged for me and those affected by my actions to receive counseling. No, they didn't.
No, they sent him to go live with a friend that was
remodel
houses.
houses.
Shit. Yeah.
I understood that if I continued down this wrong road, that I would end up ruining my life. I sought
Quick. My cat is not dying. She's just viciously meowing at a ball. So before anybody like accuses me of animal cruelty, it's not that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you hear sirens in the background, it's not like I called the cops down there, right? Anyways.
No.
Okay, back to the
Sorry.
apology, if you can even call it that. I sought forgiveness from those I had wronged and asked Christ to forgive me and come into my life. What? I would do anything to go back to those teen years and take different actions. In my life today, I am so very thankful for God's grace, mercy, and redemption. Motherfucker, if there's a heaven and you go there, I hope Hitler ass rapes you with a pineapple. Like, this is such a non-apology.
It's a typical non-apology of a predator,
And
quote unquote, gaslighting his victims.
And I'm willing to bet that these 5 aren't the only ones. I really am. I mean, let's face it. Somebody like this, they don't tend to make it a one-time thing, or in this case, a 5-time thing. Because, let's face it, they hit these 5 cases for 12 fucking
12
years.
And it wasn't until they were going to do something on Oprah, and Oprah got tipped off to it that it came out.
Much as I can't stand Oprah, well, at least she's good for something. So, he's since been, quote-unquote, forced to resign. And I say quote-unquote because I'm pretty sure that they realized that he had to go, and that was politer than saying they tossed his ass from the conservative and anti-gay group Family Research Council Action.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least they can be consistent in not liking people they deem as sexually deviant. Except that Josh Duggar is probably going to end up back there anyways.
The only reason I seem to think regrets it is because the show has now been pulled. He's been pulled from his position. This is why he regrets it. He doesn't regret doing shit.
Oh, fuck no.
He doesn't regret doing a goddamn
thing. He got to touch girls and that. He's probably touched 4 more girls than his dad has.
He regrets getting caught.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And what kind of parents are these that they keep their daughters in a house with a sexual predator?
Do you want to read the response from Jim Bob?
Absolutely.
Jim Bob,
Why
Carl
the
Rob,
fuck
Daddy Brink?
not?
All right.
Why the fuck not?
Here's their response. Back 12 years ago, our family went through one of the most difficult times of our lives. When Josh was a young teenager, he made some very bad mistakes and we were shocked. We had tried to teach him right from wrong. That dark and difficult time caused us to seek God like never before. Even though we would never choose to go through something so terrible, each one of our family members drew closer to God. We pray that as people watch our lives, they see that we are not a perfect family. We have challenges and struggles every day. It is one of the reasons we treasure our faith so much, because God's kindness and goodness and forgiveness are extended to us, even though we are so undeserving. You're damn fucking right. We hope somehow the story of our journey, the good times and the difficult times, cause you to see the kindness of God and learn that He can bring you through anything. Ain't that a fucking tearjerker of a non-fucking apology, you useless assholes.
Which means that we're not going to take blame for anything. We're just going to have God guide us correctly, and if He guides us to the right path, then that was His will. So fuck correcting the actual problem. Fuck getting your daughters counseling. Fuck having them look at this man day in and day out.
What's really pissing me off, though, is that if you listen to a lot of religious debate, you will hear them go, well, the moral argument, without God, you can't have an absolute morality. And they'll sit there and they'll say, how can you justify this as wrong? And I go, well, it's simple.
As they're viewing child porn and molesting their sisters.
Exactly. And I sit there and I say, because I will look at this and I will say, oh, damn, I fucked up. I clearly need to rectify this. I won't sit there and go, oh, God forgave me, so it's all good and you people can too. No, fuck you and everyone who looks like you.
And then they had this whole pamphlet from the fucking church about what would happen, like, if your daughters were molested or whatever the case may be. And it was total victim blaming. It was like, did they dress in an immodest way, or have they done anything to anger God? And
yeah, that's something else that always confused me is, if it's great, God, it's good. If it's bad, well, maybe it's your fault. You know what? Maybe God,
did you anger God?
Maybe God is just a fucking petulant child.
No, God's an abusive boyfriend.
A petulant child.
I deserve to get hit. I deserve to get raped because I angered him.
I deserve it. I deserve it.
I pushed him there.
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to bring us to our next little bit of coverage on the Duggar scandal. This comes from atheistanalysis.com, and it's called the 4 Double Standards in the Duggar Scandal. I know, right? These are these are pretty fucking badass. Alright, so, number 1. Until his resignation this week, Josh served as Executive Director of Family Research Council Action, a group lobbying against the rights of LGBTQ persons and women. Shocker. The Duggar family has also been actively involved in campaigns working to prohibit transgendered persons from using the correct washrooms, with the claim that sexual predators would endanger the safety of young children in public restrooms. I'm sorry, I'm choking on irony. Yeah.
But fuck their safety in their own bedrooms from their own siblings, right? We're not going to even touch this one.
But it's okay.
We got to worry about the bathrooms and the transgenders.
We won't make somebody who's molested them, who's already proved to be a sexual predator. Yeah, no, we won't deal with him. We won't address that because he's family.
Caitlyn Jenner in a bathroom, in a women's bathroom, is more of a threat than a sexual predator living in a home with your children.
Clearly, Caitlyn Jenner's only after pussy, and I mean, I'm sorry, but after that boob job and that cover on Vanity Fair, like, she's gonna get all the pussy she wants.
Plus, fucking that red dress was life. Slade.
I'm not gonna lie.
Was fucking life, dude. I can't even. Slade.
All right, we'll get back to Caitlyn Jenner later. So, the first double standard. Comparing LGBTQ community with sexual predators when in fact they've been hiding the secret that Josh Duggar had sexually harmed young girls. Big fucking red flag there. I'm sorry, but you're going to let a known sexual pederast sit there and preach about people that he
being
doesn't
sexual
like.
Predators.
About people that he doesn't like being sexual predators? Grow the fuck up. Get the fuck over yourself.
And it makes me wonder, it's like, well, you're one of them. Does like speak to like? Is this how you know it so well? Is this how you could tell exactly who's a fucking sexual predator in the bathroom because you can smell each other? What? Why, Mr. Duggar?
No, I've never understood how they can sit there and they could go, oh well, gays or transgenders or they're just sexual predators. Yet,
because we're not going to talk about the Duggar boy molesting his sisters or the priest that rapes kids. No.
Exactly. Because they're not actual sexual predators. They're just
because they pray. Because they pray.
Okay, so double standard number 2. Members of the Christian community that have been vocally supportive of Josh in the midst of this scandal use the reasoning that everyone sins, but that he has repented and turned from his sinful ways and now deserves forgiveness. So a grace that has been offered to him is not one that's been offered to the LGBTQ community. Instead, the people offering the grace and forgiveness are the same ones condemning hard-working individuals who just want to fucking live.
They just want to live in their families.
They want to live, they want to love, they want to laugh. There we go. They want to do the same cliche 3 things everybody else wants to fucking do. But the only difference is that we don't need to be forgiven for being queer. We really don't. Let's just face it.
I hate the word queer. I fucking hate the word queer.
I have no problem with it.
That word. I hate it. Because it means that there's something wrong. Or, different or odd. And I'm like, no.
Fair enough.
I hate the word queer.
Okay, so we'll fix that. You don't need to be forgiven for being homosexual or bisexual or transgendered or
right.
I think the proper word, and if anybody that actually knows the proper words for this type of topic, please, I encourage you write it into us. But it's a term a friend of mine uses is genderqueer. You don't need to be forgiven for that.
Sexually or gender fluid, personally.
But anyways, so the fact that being of the LGBTQ community doesn't require forgiveness. It just means that you're somebody who doesn't fit in with the heteronormativity of the world. You don't need to be. Yeah, you don't need to be forgiven for that. But this is very much an expose of the theological agenda that grace, as defined by God, is not about radical love, but affirming the worthiness of those who fit their worldview. Sorry, I just had to read that off my notes here because I couldn't reword it on the spot there.
Okay.
So that's number 2. Number 3. Why aren't the people who affirm Josh asking about the root causes of his sinful behavior? So a gay person wrote this, and I'm reading it in their as they've written it. As a gay person,
just like they ask, what is the root cause of being gay?
The simple love of, I don't know. Let's just spitball it here. Maybe you love your own genitals so much you'd like to see them on somebody else and play with them. I don't know. I mean, I know that's totally wrong. I'm being irreverent about that. But as this person writes, as a gay person, I have been put under the microscope with a bombardment of questions from the same community supporting Josh. I have been asked countless times about why I am attracted to women, which is not a sin, with the inference that something must have caused me to be gay. Nothing causes anyone to be LGBTQ. It's called an orientation or an identity, and it harms no one. And that's pretty well the blunt truth of it. There is provided that it's consenting adults.
Right.
Who the fuck cares?
I don't care.
No, and neither do I. I don't understand
okay,
the
so you
obsession.
fuck people the same gender that you are.
Oh my god, you're a guy and you like having. You
I
have a specific
sleep
type
with
of
people from the
cognizance.
opposite gender of me.
But they're
Is this a problem?
consenting. Are the people you're sleeping with of age and consenting? Yes. Oh well, then
Okay.
it's none of my business until
Then
you
we're
decide to
good.
tell me about it. In which case, let's dish and
And
swap
then
stories.
and then you're gonna have to hear about my stories, just like I have had to sit here and deal with yours.
So back to double standard number 3. None of the same people who would look at a gay person and say, well, what made you want to be gay, are looking at him and going, well, what made you think it was all right for you to take away the sexual innocence of these young girls?
What made you think it was okay to touch a little girl?
Exactly. What made you think that these non-consenting, not of age individuals, what made you think that was okay? So I guess one of the common questions for gay people is, I'm assuming it is, were you a victim of sexual abuse?
Mm-hmm. I've
Yeah.
heard that a lot.
Yeah. And it really bothers me that is somehow what makes you gay. No. Do we have a lot of reason to believe that there's a
I
genetic
don't understand
component?
how loving someone else comes from a traumatic moment. Why does it have to lead? Why does love have to lead from tragedy like that?
Well, I think that's because they're assuming that the masochistic personality traits that sometimes arise in abuse victims, they're trying to associate these masochistic tendencies and make it like you're gay because you hate yourself. And really, that I don't see how that you can draw a correlation there. I mean, if you're gay, it's because you love people of the same gender as you. That's it.
I'm straight because I love people of the opposite gender of me.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's,
All right.
it's that fucking simple. It is that fucking simple. It's like, are you straight because you were molested as a child? Let's flip the questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you straight because you suffered some sort of sexual trauma?
Are you straight?
Let's think about how ridiculous this sounds.
Yeah, no, exactly. Are you straight because you're looking for one of your parents' affections? Fuck, no, motherfucker. I'm straight because I like pussy. I enjoy the vagina.
I enjoy penis. That's why I'm straight. I'm not attracted. I mean, I'm not attracted sexually or romantically to women. There are some women out there that are very attractive. I'm just not sexually or romantically attracted to women that way. Therefore, I'm straight.
Yeah, exactly.
It was not some sexual trauma. It was not emotional trauma. I'm just straight. Let's flip the questions. When did you know you were straight?
Yeah. What? At what point in time did you look at? Were you acting? Getting close to the people of the same gender and going, I'm just not attracted to these people like I thought I was. Like,
Exactly.
really?
Let's flip the questions. I mean, let's really think about it. How offended would you be if somebody came up to you and was like, "Well, was there a traumatic event in your life that turned you straight?"
Oh. Mind blown.
No. If you want to go by that, the traumatic events in my life should have turned me gay.
Yeah.
I should have had a wife 10 years ago. But no, I like men. That's my thing. But that's think about asking these questions to somebody who's straight. How
Exactly.
fucking retarded you look. I shouldn't say retarded, that's a bad word. How stupid you look.
Exactly. And how ignorant you appear to the basics of humanity. Like
I think I'm gonna start like all these like crazy super religious Southern people that go on about gay people. I think I'm gonna start asking them, at what point in your life did you realize that you were straight? And was it some form of sexual trauma that led you to being straight? I think I'm really gonna start asking people this shit. Just to see the fucking reactions.
that actually would be an interesting social experiment.
If I wasn't worried about like people literally coming to hang me from the front tree of my house, yeah.
Well, that's because you live in the Bible Belt. All right. We beat that one to death. And then some. Moving on. Number 4. As this person writes, one of the common threads I have heard from Josh's supporters in response to the scandal is that Josh should immediately be offered grace because God sees all sins as equal. That's where that sentence ends right there, and I'm gonna sit there and say, motherfucker, no, it goddamn well doesn't. I can honestly not fathom the kind of person that would view that as the same as just telling a simple little lie, or having a sexual fantasy about somebody, or about looking at your neighbors and going, wow, they have a nice car, I want a car like that. Or getting mad because you're stuck in traffic and the person in front of you is a fucking idiot.
I don't understand how a sin of love, quote unquote, holds more weight than actually being a predator to children. That's one. That's fucking one. One. Right there. How the fuck does preying on innocent children hold less weight than loving somebody? 1. 2. If all sins are forgiven equally, then why the fuck are you harping on the sin of being gay?
Yeah.
If they're all forgiven equally, then why the fuck are we arguing the point? Why are you so staunchly trying to end gay marriage and end transgender right if all sins are forgiven equally?
Because somewhere in the Bible it says you should be preaching the word of God as it is, or something like that.
I'm sure somewhere in the Bible it tells you not to fucking touch little girls too.
No, it doesn't actually. It promotes touching little girls.
Yeah, it does actually. But
Hello,
still,
I'm gonna go Old Testament on your ass. Like, come on.
I know. Should have known better. It's been a long week. Anyway, but if sins are forgiven equally, then why the fuck are you preventing one group of people for their sin but forgiving another?
Exactly.
Now, I want to know, because they back this motherfucker, do they support organizations like NAMBLA, who have an entire group of people that rape and molest little children? They're basically condoning child molestation on a broader scale, because if he should be forgiven, then so should every other fucking child molester out there, because, sins are forgiven equally.
Yeah, it really, really, really bothers me that they can sit there and say all sin is equal in the eyes of God's, because no, it fucking well isn't. There is a difference between...
Then why not let your fucking God sort it out at your end time, or whatever the case may be? I'm sorry, from what I understood in Catholicism, you cannot act as God. God is God. God makes the final judgment, correct?
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, then why the fuck are you judging people? Isn't that a sin as well? Acting on behalf of God, isn't that a sin as well?
Yeah, but we all know...
So how is a blasphemous act less forgiving than loving somebody? Because
it doesn't fit in with their worldview, and gay people are icky, and, it's easier to blame God than it is to blame an ingrown personal prejudice. So this logic... So according to the article that I was reading, this logic basically says that a child stealing a candy bar from the store is equivalent to someone sneaking into a bedroom at night and forcibly molesting younger siblings. Clearly, I don't think these are quite the
what?
same.
My brain is just fucking shut down. I think that was it.
You have Forrest Whitaker eye.
I think that was it.
Oh my god, you have Forrest Whitaker eye. But no,
I think my brain is shut down.
These are not the fucking same, because who the fuck is harmed when you steal a candy bar from a store? Oh my god, they lose $1.29 in profits.
A 5-year-old steals a fucking candy bar from a store, their mother can make them go give that back. You cannot give back the fact that you molested somebody. You cannot give that innocence back.
Exactly. And
so fuck you.
Let's face the ultimate.
And now we can put a monetary value on the rape and molestation of children, like we can stealing thing. I guess we're going to be selling our daughters off for sheep and goats next again.
Well, if that's the case, then the Catholic Church is going to go bankrupt next week. Let's face it; these are. There's no way you can see any of these things as the fucking same. One of these causes deep-rooted suffering that's gonna last a lifetime. I mean, these girls are gonna have to grow up knowing that somebody violated them. And as we're gonna get to in a little bit here, because I found another article on. The cult of purity that the Duggars lived in, because let's face it, we're going to dedicate a good chunk of tonight to this, is that these girls place purity as such a high commodity, and now he's taken that away from them. So what's that going to do to them for the rest of their fucking lives? I don't agree with the cult of purity. I'm just clarifying that. However, I'm trying to put forth a little bit of empathy and seeing other issues that are going to arise from this situation.
Right.
But this kind of logic here, all it does is kind of wipe away the victims and their stories, and it just basically labels Josh as just your average Joe sinner, when I'm sorry, but even a brothel keeper would look at you and say, get the fuck out of here, you creep, you scumbag. I mean, there is literally a special prison for people like this, because your average inmate, the guy who's there because, he stabbed 10 guys.
No, yeah, he
will kill you.
It's not specifically labeled in New York that it's the raper jail, but we have a prison in upstate New York that's where the majority of rapers go to.
And there's one.
Oh God, what was the name of it? I can't think of the name of it now. But that's where they send the rapers because they know that these guys are gonna get fucking killed, especially the baby rapers.
That's a special breed.
There's still an honor amongst thieves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, ironically enough. But there is one last little note here, and I do think that this is something that's a lot of people seem to forget, especially because this has become such a sensational story, is how little attention has been given to the young victims of this crime. I mean, that's what we need to be focusing on is, these people have obviously suffered trauma. What can we do to make sure that as they grow up, there is less damage done, or we can minimize the amount of damage done or repair it as it arises? Because when you're younger, like some of these girls were, in their around 10, younger than 10?
10, 12, yeah.
You don't quite understand the emotions going on. You don't understand the situation.
And then to be told that you brought it on yourself somehow.
Oh, that's
by
even
not
worse.
dressing modestly or angering God or something like that at 10.
Okay. So, double standards in theology. We just covered 4 of them, and now we are going to move on, because this is kind of somewhere parallel, and I kind of want to breeze a little through this since we've kind of dragged on a bit on the double standards. So these are just kind of ways that the fans are defending what Duggar did. Number 1, his apology was effort enough. Response? No, fuck you. No, it wasn't. Apparently, according to the article, the person who put forth the first defense identified herself as a childhood sexual abuse victim, but it's unclear how exactly Duggar's statement, which offers the barest apology possible, I think we already admitted that.
I mean, oh my God, that was such a non-apology.
Is helpful to victims, because it's not. He avoided it, he danced around it and said, I did a horrible thing. Meanwhile, the rest of us...
I'm sorry. Just, it was, I did a horrible thing, and here's a fuck ton of excuses as to why I did it.
Yeah. Number 2, it's the media's fault. Response? We know it's always the media's fault. It's just horrible for them. How dare they expose such a hypocritical and atrocious event? How dare they? Number 3, and I love this one. Jesus is cool with Josh Duggar. I wish I could get a picture of your face right now. Okay, so I'll read you a sample of this type of defense. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. The great news is, He loves us and forgives us. If He, in His infinite wisdom and grace, can forgive us, then who are we not to forgive? Fuck you.
But you can't forgive a gay person.
Yeah. Again, you can forgive somebody for robbing somebody of their childhood, but you can't forgive somebody for...
You can't forgive a woman for having an abortion.
You can't forgive somebody for having a consenting relationship where both parties are there and romantically involved. Fuck you.
You can't forgive a woman for having an abortion.
Yeah.
For all you know, you just saved Josh Duggar's next victim doing that shit.
Yeah. So basically, the take-home message is that because none of us are perfect, it's okay what Josh Duggar did. And they're trying to say atheists can't denounce what Josh Duggar did. Like, get fucked, you righteous
what?
Tards. Yeah.
Well, according to the Duggars, atheists don't exist. We're ghost people.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, yeah, we were going to talk about that when these stories broke.
We don't exist.
It's okay, we can talk about that later. Okay, so number 5.
I'm not talking to you right now.
Number 5. Duggar didn't take the easy way out. I'll read you the little bit on this. Actually, the Duggars collectively worked hard to make sure this story didn't see the light of day, rather than using it as a way to truly bring this problem to light. According to Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, a group with the acronym RAINN, or RAINN, 15% of sexual assault and rape victims are under the age of 12. Girls ages 16 to 19 are 4 times more likely than the general population of victims to be victims of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault. So what exactly are the Duggars doing right to combat this broader problem? Here's a hint. Nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly. Fucking sweet decal. So there's pretty well that one's...
What I don't understand is they have this whole rush to therapy, quote unquote, about getting him help. What about the girls in the house? Who was concerned about getting them help for what they've been through? And then to shove these kids in front of a camera and make like life was perfect so that the parents could make money.
So, and the mom can continue to use her vagina like a clown
vagina as
car.
a fucking clown car.
Yep.
I'm sorry. How do you even know if you've got her pregnant at that point? If you're, how do you even know you're fucking that? I mean, to me, it would be like putting your dick between somebody's ass crack and a couch cushion. I mean,
In all honesty, I'm convinced that once the kids just reach the right time, her water breaks, and when her water breaks, the kid falls out.
like fully dressed and ready to work. So
Yeah, pretty much, because they all have to. All right, number 6. Duggar is all grown up and has changed his life. So let's respond to this. So the focus here again is primarily on Josh, not his victims. The people who might actually need the fucking help. No, why should we help them?
nah, fuck them.
So this doesn't even mention, what they might be going through, or the consideration that their lives really aren't going to be easy after this. I mean, they have to carry this with them for the rest of their life. Okay, so I'm glad you're sitting down, Jen, because I'm going to read to you number 7. What he did really wasn't so bad. I'm going to read that again. What he did really wasn't so bad. So most nauseating out of all, they've equated throughout this debacle, they've equated childhood sexual exploration to what Josh Duggar did, conflating the two, which is basically blaming the victim here. And we may not know the story, like the entire story, all the details have been kind of washed away.
Right, because obviously the victims aren't going to speak because of the background that they grew up in.
Well, there's that too. But, we do have a pretty damn good idea of what was done. So, we can be grateful that TLC finally fucking pulled 19 Kids and Counting. I mean, I'm sorry, it never should have been on.
There was so much more with this family that I couldn't support, such as they at one point fully backed the man that founded the To Train Up a Child book, which taught people to smack 6-month-olds to train them to stay on a blanket and to use PVC pipe to beat your 18-month-old children because it doesn't leave bruises.
Really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was phone books. I plan to use those.
Well, yeah, that's what they taught. You can smack 18-month-olds, and if your 18-month-old child refuses to eat his or her dinner, just leave the child in the chair for hours. Eventually, they'll eat. Once I heard that, I was like,
yeah, I'm not all for banning books, but I think something like that does kind of merit.
I'm for banning them right after we beat the living fuck out of these people with them.
This is a book that outright, that's just a whole other asshole bag. I mean, it's recommending the beating of babies.
If you want to look it up and read clips of it, they advocate smacking a 6-month-old child who's doing nothing but doing what a 6-month-old does, which is explore and move, to train them to stay on a blanket so that when you want to talk on the phone or get things done, they don't move. Like veal.
Yep.
Like veal.
Yep.
There was an incident with an 18-month-old that wanted to get down off his father's lap, and the father didn't want him to, so he repeatedly smacked the shit out of this child's legs. And while this child was crying and motioning for their mother and reaching out for their mother, the mother laughed.
That's horrifying.
There are people that have followed these books that have literally killed their children, and their discipline have run them to the point of exhaustion and death, or kept them outside in cold conditions to where the children froze to death. And this is a pastor that they back.
Well, before we get too far off the beaten path, I've referenced it a few times, and I personally don't believe in being a tease. So I'm going to give you one.
I do.
Fuck no. I believe in building up, but God, being a tease is
I
horrible.
love the tease. It's awesome.
So,
It's
Jen's
awesome.
a bitch, by the way.
Completely. I'm such a cunt.
So now on to the story of purity. I came across this article while I was trying to research the Duggar thing. So in A Love That Multiplies, I don't know what that is. It's apparently by Michelle Duggar, the matriarch, the clown car.
So that means a love that produces children. Okay.
A love that not only produces children, but apparently produces so many of them you could actually have a small army. So in this, whatever it is, she recounts a story that her husband had told to his older children to allegedly explain the importance of purity. And I'm going to read to you, I'm going to try to read this without adding a commentary until the very end. So shut the fuck up. So imagine that your parents are going to surprise you and give you a brand new bike for Christmas. 2 weeks before Christmas, they buy your bike and hide it in the store's shed in the backyard. But then the boy next door sneaks into the shed and borrows your new bike. He stunt rides it up and down the back alley. On Christmas morning, your parents lead you out to the shed to reveal the special gift that they had bought for you. And as they open the door and say, "Surprise," they are just as surprised as you are. You're all shocked to see that the bike looks like it's been thrown off a cliff. The front fender is missing, and the front tire is so warped so it rubs the frame. It's dirty, the paint is all scratched and chipped, and the seat has a big rip in it. It looks worse than something you would have bought at a garage sale. I'm sure you would still be grateful for the bike, and you would have fun riding it, but it won't be in the condition your parents had hoped and dreamed it would be when you received it. You would miss out on a lot of the enjoyment they meant for you to have. In that same way, we don't want any boy or girl to come and steal your purity. What the fuck?
Oh my god, I just saw all the metaphors. The ripped seat is the ripped hymen, the warped tires, the warped used vagina.
I wasn't even looking at that.
I don't know why I instantly made that connection.
I don't know. You been like taking English classes?
But now, I don't know. I've been inspired lately. But does the purity still count if your brother took it from you?
See, and here's the stupid fucking thing: is that entire little monologue emphasizes that the onus to protect your purity is on you. So if somebody steals it, you're nothing more than a ruined fucking bicycle with a warped tire and a ripped seat. Your value has been taken from you. You had no choice in the matter. You had no say in the matter.
That's like new shoes. You're more comfortable and broken in shit.
You are basically used and cheap and valueless. And who the fuck do you think you are to tell a child that, God gave you this sexual desire, but you
Which
better
is beautiful.
not. You better not let anybody else take it. And if anybody
because
takes it from you,
according to them, it's not from
fault.
God. According to them, that's the free will given to you to test you at 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck that. There's no other way around that. Like, fuck that mentality. Like, how do you think a child's supposed to respond to this? I mean, growing up so confused, I'm sorry, but in an environment like this, like, you're breeding Josh Duggars at this point in time. Because they have no fucking idea what they're doing.
After he's taken their purity, then they're made to feel like they're worn and
this is what I was getting at earlier, is to further psychological damage to the young girls. I mean, I don't know if any of them are planning on leaving the little cult that they've ascribed themselves to, and I sincerely hope they do, because it would be fucking hilarious, and it would give atheist circles everywhere interviews for life, like Nate Phelps.
Just that name, just like...
Nate Phelps is a kid who left. He actually...
Still,
I think he lives in Calgary.
I know that he's the good guy, but just hearing the name, it's like, and I don't mean to do that against the guy because, he's actually a pretty good dude, but maybe you should think about changing your name.
So I guess the "I love that multiplies" is something that Michelle wrote. Here's something else that he preached. What if we were at a meeting with about 100 other people, and the speaker asked that a large cup be passed around, and everyone spit in the cup? What if you happened to be all the way in the back, the last person in the row, as it were, when the cup finally came to you to speak, and the speaker asked you to drink out of the cup? What would you do? Hold on.
What?
Hold on. That's what it's like if you have intimate physical relations with several partners. Physical relations outside marriage promote venereal disease, cervical cancer, and a host of other problems. God can forgive any wrong choices a person is willing to confess and forsake, but there are still painful consequences to be endured. For starters, yes, this is a consequence. Venereal disease is an unwanted pregnancy is most definitely a consequence of
sex,
reckless sexual behaviors, or even just an accident. Sometimes condoms have holes. Sometimes your birth control doesn't quite work as it's supposed to.
Right.
So okay, we'll give him that one because... No, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not giving him that one. No, fuck you. Fuck you, Jim Bob, in your redneck, loose asshole. Because let's face it, the simple fact that you had to add that just tells me that you're trying to use fear, and that's all this asshole is doing.
That's all it is, yeah.
And
no, if you want to get scientific and technical there, Jim Bob, it's not like spitting in a cup, because let me tell you, from a woman, what goes up must come down, and what comes down comes out, okay? So there is nothing left in that cup. Thank you very much. Just had to put that out there.
Oh, gravity works.
Gravity. Gravity. The same thing dragging your wife's saggy ass titties down is the same thing that cleans it out. There ain't no spit left in that cup, and if there's spit left in that cup, he's doing something wrong.
Back to, like, I'm trying to figure out exactly how he came to this kind of a conclusion. Like, what in the actual fuck? Being asked to drink out of a cup that 100 people have spat in is the
And
same.
you know, some people are into that. You don't know. You could be asking the wrong person there, Jim Bob, and they'll be like, "Where's this cup at?"
I'm not willing
You
to
don't know.
Google that in my regular Google Chrome, so I'll Google that incognito later. Shut up, I'm curious.
Why do I have a feeling dirty, disgusting videos are coming my way when I wake up in the morning?
So, I made note of one other thing that, no, this is from, the Duggar daughters in Growing Up Duggar. It's all about relationships. So, once you open the door to being alone and enter into a physical relationship before marriage, i.e. kissing, touching, physical intimacy, you are allowing your partner to unwrap a precious, special gift that God intended you to hold on to until your wedding day, and you're also creating a lot of guilt and distrust, and you won't be able to fully enjoy the pleasure of the sin because of all the guilt it brings.
No, I
What
fully enjoy
in
it.
the actual...
I fully enjoy it. Fully. Been a while, but I think I would still fully enjoy that sin quite well.
Oh, it's a marvelous sin. Marvelous.
And then it's like, all right, you spend all this time preparing this gift, right? You wrap it up all nice, you make sure the shit's all in the fucking packaging well, and then what happens? What happens if you get some irate UPS worker that's gonna jumble your shit around and tear the fucking paper and everything else? You're gonna be pissed off, right? So what if you marry the one motherfucker that's just gonna come in there and jumble your shit and tear it all off, and guess what? Now you're sitting there sore without a fucking orgasm, he's falling asleep, and there ain't no fucking other way for you to get off because you were never taught about your own shit and how to get yourself off. Now you're fucked for the next what? 80 fucking years of your life never having a fucking orgasm. It's shit like that that'll make a bitch kill her husband. That's it. It's shit like that. It ain't fucking cheating. It ain't fucking having babies on someone else. It ain't controlling the finances. You fuck someone for 50 years and don't give that bitch an orgasm not once, she's gonna fucking suffocate you in your sleep. Because Lord knows I would. Shit, I'm just saying. Just saying. You gonna find a fucking Duggar woman on Snap one day. Watch. Cause she gonna go talk to her motherfucking homegirls. She's talking about my husband, my eyes rolling up in the back of my head and shit. I can't talk for 35 minutes after his shit. She gonna be like, what the fuck? What the fuck she gonna think about it? She gonna think about it. You know what she's gonna think? I can't divorce him, but if I kill him, I can find someone that's gonna fuck me right. And what she gonna do? She gonna kill her husband. Watch. This is what happens when you raise crazy religious people. And then what's going to happen? I don't know what happened, but the power of God compelled me through the holy water and the dirty spit cups to suffocate my husband because he's not hitting it right. I can't deal with 3-inch dick anymore. Come on, man. See?
No,
That's the
you're
kind of crazy ass shit you're setting this shit up to be. And
You're
then
absolutely
what?
right.
Then what you gonna do? Talk about God forgave her for killing her husband? Now she fucking a mandingo? God sent her that. That was her present for her penance? Come on now. Is that what we gonna get right now? She confessed her sins to God. Now she got the anaconda coming out her mouth from her bottom. And is this what we're gonna get? Come on.
Well, if it's coming out of her mouth after going in her vagina, then he's probably done a little damage and she might need to go to the hospital. But if it's coming out of her mouth after going up her ass,
Then I guess
fine.
that's just what God intended, right?
Hey, by their logic. This is just such hypocrisy to me, and it pisses me off to no end that people can sit there and say it's a precious, special gift. Because that puts us... That just makes you place it on a pedestal and put it in such a spot that you have to build an identity around it. And I'm gonna find an article
You know, I gotta say something
about this.
This is the biggest fucking problem I have. This is the biggest fucking problem I have. To me, sex is sex. And yes, it's not the act of sex that makes it special. It's the setting of the sex and the mood of the sex that makes it this whole bonding, crazy, oh my god, I love you, this is something special thing. Now, you go back into the dating market, right? And you have views like this as a woman. And you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna fuck. But then you worry about these guys that still hold on to this ideal that if she gives it up so easily and, you know, she gives up her special flower like that, then she's not worth getting into a relationship with. And it's just like, you don't know that. I just want to fuck you. But yet you're already ceasing the development of a relationship that could be the best fucking thing in your life because you have this skewed fucking view on women and sex.
And that's exactly the problem. is that you're sitting there and you basically see that, oh my god, a woman's had sex before. That's horrible. How dare she?
Oh, what was it? Somebody was asking me if I would get married again and would I do the big white dress. And I'm like, I got a kid. The jig is up. Trust me, my kid ain't no fucking Jesus. My kid fucking hates getting his head washed, let alone walking on motherfucking water. He ain't no fucking Jesus. Okay, no. My kid can't even turn his fucking train tracks into something functional, let alone water in a fucking wine. I mean, come on. No. So now we've got a bunch of these fucking guys running around about this Virgin Madonna complex and a bunch of fucking women that don't give a fuck and don't see themselves like that, but are literally never getting into relationships because they can't equate sex with this on the same level that their male partners do. Do I personally like to wait a little bit before I get to know somebody? I do. I'm kind of like, I kind of attach this whole romantic thing to sex because it's been that long now. Now it's this whole hyped romantic thing in my head. Once I start getting laid, it's going to be very different. That's just my personal view, is that I prefer not to regularly sleep with people that I just met. But even if I just wanted to fuck somebody, why should that stop him from calling me the next day because now he thinks I'm a whore? No, a whore would be fucking your brother when I'm in a relationship with you, not just fucking you after I meet you at a bar.
Well, that's the hypocrisy manifesting itself completely, and the underlying misogyny that basically is bearing its head. I mean, a woman, oh my god, her pure... Well, actually, in this case, it sounds like they're placing it on both kids. But they're definitely, like, I think you're kind of right about the torn bike seat, referring to the hymen as basically being metaphorical for, the woman's body. But to sit there and basically say that if you have sex without being married, and marriage is a whole other bag we should get to on this one later. But if you
don't want to know my views on marriage right now.
If you have sex outside the covenant with God known as marriage, because apparently only in God's eyes can marriage exist.
Right.
That's
I'll
horrible.
get into a funny story about that later.
How dare you come to, physically be intimate with somebody? It's absolute bullshit. And I can only sit here and try to fathom what's going to go through the mindset of these girls who've grown up being told that, the onus of your purity is on you. If somebody takes it from you, that's your fault. And when you give yourself to, the person you decide to spend the rest of your life with, you're going to be worthless to them and they're not going to value you the way they should because somebody stole this from you.
Have you ever seen the movie Saved?
No.
It's a satire comedy about born-again Christians.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Oh my god, it's like the greatest fucking movie ever. I will watch this shit 9 times in a row. It's hilarious. The plot synopsis is this girl's a born-again Christian and thinks she has a premonition when drowning in a pool that Jesus told her to have sex with her boyfriend, premarital sex, to cure him of his homosexuality, and she then in turn winds up pregnant. Greatest fucking movie ever. Anyway. There's a scene where her and her best friend, who's like this total perfect God warrior Jesus chick, they're at a shooting range. And she said that she will protect her purity by force if necessary, as she's shooting at a fucking target. Why is it on her to protect her purity? By deadly force if necessary. Why don't we teach the little born-again boys that you don't go around fucking taking that shit from people?
Oh, that's a good point too. But I think we touched on that last week.
There's so many loops and kind of avenues that lead to other streets with this.
No, I agree. There is one last little thing that I wanted to kind of touch about with this purity thing before we moved on to the next little bit here. Basically, this family has condemned all sexuality as a sin. Like, I hated myself enough one night that I read an article when Jessa was like courting her boyfriend or whatever. When they went out on dates, they weren't allowed to hold hands. God forbid you fucking hold hands, because you might build a physical connection to someone. You might
Isn't that the point before getting married?
That's what I thought too, but I guess I'm an idiot and I was like, God.
I guess we're fucked.
But side hugs were really the only way they were allowed, and they didn't kiss until their engagement, and all their dates they had to have, a sibling chaperone. But here's the thing, the parents also had to fucking bless the relationship and allow it. Get fucked.
Oh god, no.
If
my mother had to bless every relationship I was ever in, I would be single from the time I was 13. Okay, come on. My fucking mother hated everyone I dated.
Exactly. And
everyone.
Well, that's kind of your job as a teenager, is to make your parents sick, is my little bit. But, ultimately, like, this case is so riddled with hypocrisy and garbage and bullshit, and the fact that it's treated what he did as a sin and not only a crime but actual abuse is ultimately revolting.
It is.
All right,
Yeah.
so now we're going to briefly touch on this news story because I found this and it's relevant to me because it takes place in my city. Alberta creationist finds fossil while digging Calgary basement. So the quick summary of this story is there's a 64-year-old who was excavating the basement in March when he caught sight of something special in a bucket of a traco. Black outlines of 5 fish in a block of some sandstone. So he contacted a paleontologist and assistant professor at the U of C, who after reading this article, I'm assuming is some sort of a friend of his, who calculated the fish to have lived shortly after an asteroid killed off the dinosaurs and many species, leaving surviving animals and plants to diversify.
Right.
So, according to her, it's about 60 million years old.
Right.
And this guy, Edgar Nurnberg, sees the irony of believing the Earth is roughly 6,000 years old, yet he's discovered a very rare fossil that scientists estimate to be so old. So somehow, this Nurnberg guy, he believes that the fish were most likely to have been alive shortly before the Great Flood in the Bible, about, I don't know where they get these numbers, but 4,300 years ago. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, are you fucking kidding me?
The proof is right there in front of your face.
The young Earth creationism just pisses me off, and he's trying, and, oh, okay, yes, so here in the article it says, according to Nurnberg, they agree to disagree, him and the paleontologists, Darla Zelenitsky. Ooh, I got that.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he, according to him, they're quite amicable and really almost friends. Like, what? What does that even mean?
Which means that you provide the laugh track for dinner parties at her house. She gets the stories from you and then regales her coworkers with how fucking stupid you are.
Yeah. So, according to him, he was taught evolution in school, but later came to reject it. And this guy helped build a miniature replica of Noah's Ark for a creationist museum in Alberta.
How do they know what it looks like, though?
They don't. It's all speculation. But according to them, they know. I can't, I don't understand it. I mean, he's sitting there trying to make it like it's both opinion, and it's not opinion.
No, it's like there's checks and balances in place to prove that this fossil is 60 million years old.
What really pisses me off about people trying to put forth creationism as science is that they fail to realize that evolution is a science, because it not only is it not been falsified or had things that could have been used to falsify it been explained and used to further strengthen the arguments behind natural selection as a means of evolution, creationism offers nothing.
Nothing.
All it does is create a shield of ignorance.
My favorite line is, when they talk about if we descended from apes, and why are there still apes left? Well, if you descended from dirt, why the fuck is there still dirt?
That too.
Why aren't men missing ribs?
And why wasn't Eve a perfect clone of Adam since she was taken from his rib?
I just dropped the mic, so I dropped all the mics. That's like a whole nother slew of fucking questions about their kids and shit too. Like, gross.
I've argued with a young Earth creationist in Calgary about that. According to him, before Mosaic law, incest was okay because at that point in time we hadn't polluted our DNA with sin.
What? No, wait. But at that point in time, we did. Because Adam and Eve didn't start having kids until after they were exiled out of the garden. Eve created the ultimate sin by eating from the fucking, the snake and the apple. And we all know this fucking story. So
yeah, I know. There was a talking snake.
Right. They did muddle their DNA with sin at that point.
Yeah, I know. It's remarkable the amount of intellectual backsliding and bullshit that goes on when dealing with these people.
This is why I just don't argue it anymore. Because I'm just like...
You're stupid.
Like, okay, honey. Okay, this is... Just know that my kid won't hire yours.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, okay?
That's pretty well my thoughts.
And now for something completely different.
So, and now I think we've reached the part in the show where we're going to move on from the stories.
Before my brain completely fucking shuts down.
on to the topic, and I'm going to switch it up. Jen has no idea what I have planned.
Yay.
Jen is going to... I'm going to send these to Jen. She has not... I assure you, she has not read them before, or at least not in the context of our discussion.
I'm so tired.
Have you heard of the website biblicalgenderroles.com?
No. Oh, is this what like the Adam and Eve rap battles and shit?
No, it's
no,
it's an
not
atrocious website. These are the 8 steps to confront your wife's sexual refusal. Now, the introduction to this article is all justifications for why it's up to a man and a woman to never deny their partner sex because, you know, they've agreed to only give it to each other, and further exposes the sexual dysfunction that is religion. So, I'm going to send these to Jen one at a time, and I want her to read them out loud and then respond to them. So I'm sending step 1.
Why are you making me do this?
Because I am a sadist. So step 1, rebuke her privately.
Oh, I can't. Are you fucking kidding me right now? I'm really...
Read it.
Rebuke your wife's sin to her in private. This assumes you have already on several occasions tried speaking to her gently about the issue. You have tried time and time again to find out if there is anything you can do to help her with, and anything you can do different. This assumes that you have ruled out health problems and or other mental problems, and she simply, oh for fuck's sake, and she simply has a stubborn and willful attitude towards sex and marriage, and she does not think she needs to change.
So, what do you think?
Can a man be stubborn and willful when it comes to sex and a marriage as well?
This isn't about the man, this is about the wife, because apparently she's the only one who can reject sex.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, if I see you cleaning up the house and doing the dishes, I'm gonna be way more inclined to fuck you, but...
See, I see this, and I sit there and I go, maybe, just maybe, your wife is being a bit of a bitch and doing a power play with the sex thing, and, you know, that's happened. But I won't give that a lot of weight. I hate the idea of sexually manipulating someone. I think that's utterly atrocious. And I am all for, you know, if you feel your needs aren't being met, bring it up. Casually say, hey, honey, you know, I feel like this isn't working.
Right.
Is there something wrong? Is there something that you're wanting me to do that I'm not doing? Is there anything that you would like to do?
But to approach her as somebody being stubborn and willful...
Exactly.
If you come at me about sex like I'm being stubborn and willful, oh, we're gonna play stubborn and willful, man. Oh, we're gonna play. You won't get anything. You won't get anything. You won't get shit. You come at me fucked up, the first thing that shuts down is the Muffin Factory with me. You're done. You're done. Do you know the Muffin Man? Nope, because I fired that motherfucker. I don't know who the fuck the Muffin Man is. Maybe if he wasn't burning his damn muffins, he'd still be older than the fucking shop. How about that? You come at me like I'm willful. What was it? Willful and stubborn? Willful and stubborn. I'm gonna be real willful and stubborn. You're gonna be starving willful and stubborn, so shit.
This actually kind of draws me back to the whole identifying as sexually pure, though. Because if you spend your whole life, you know, as you know, somebody who's proud of, you know, I'm saving myself for marriage, and your nose is, you know, however many miles in the atmosphere. Right. So if you're making a big deal of saving yourself for marriage, and then all of a sudden after marriage, everybody knows you got laid. Everybody knows you're not a virgin anymore. You're no longer considered sexually pure. Mm-hmm. Then what? I mean, what does that do to your identity?
You're your husband's fuckmate, therefore allowing even more of your identity to get lost in him.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm really bitter about this shit, though. So.
And as well you should be.
Which is why you give me these to read.
Okay. Number 2. Rebuke her before witnesses. Go.
If she is still defiant after rebuking her privately, take her to a Christian marriage counselor or maybe even a sex therapist if she is willing to go. This is if she's even willing to go. The term rebuke is pissing me off.
Isn't it though? Like that is just making it sound so high and mighty. So hey,
you get off my putting her in a fucking corner?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Are you talking to another human being or are you talking to a child?
This is if she's even willing to go. If you're hounding my ass like this, I'm not giving you shit.
I'm going to have to say, if they're hounding you on this issue, then maybe, just maybe, there are other issues that need to be addressed. And it's not sex. Sex is
And
just
you
a manifest.
Right. You come across a woman like me, the more you have my ass to do it, the more I'm not going to. If you act like you don't give a fuck about fucking me, panties are coming off. But if you're constantly up my ass and the only thing you're bringing up is sex, and the only time you're affectionate is sex, then I'm not doing shit.
Exactly.
Rebuke me.
I'm sorry. I need to look this word up because it's pissing me off.
What, rebuke?
Ah, there we go. Express sharp disapproval or criticism of someone because of their behavior or actions. That's it, and it's used as a verb. As a noun, it's just an expression of sharp disapproval or criticism. Yeah, no, this is like the worst word they could have used for this. Holy fuck.
So can I rebuke my husband then too for acting like a fucking hound, like I'm nothing but his little fuckmaid?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Just
Okay.
go both ways.
And like
These
I
just
can
make it better, are they?
and what pisses me off is that you can strip these, like the Ten Commandments, you can strip these down and you can actually find something useful in them. But the language that's used is so
It's
codified.
infuriating.
Well, it's not infuriating. It's righteous. It's pious. It's holier than thou art. It's religious in origin and basically made to say, if you're not living as God says to, you're less than.
Okay,
And
give me number 3 because I want to see how pissed off I'm gonna get now.
oh,
I'm rolling on a pissed off roll, so let's.
oh, this one's a bit of a long one. So this one, step 3, is called bring her before the church.
If she is not willing to listen to counselors, refuses to go to counseling, then bring her to your pastor and his wife. If she will not listen to even to them, then she has chosen to act like an unbeliever, and now she will be treated as such. If your wife has not repented and changed her ways after these 3 steps, you are sure to have a very angry and defiant wife. The little bit of sex there was in your marriage is most likely completely gone. At this point, your wife will have either completely rejected her faith, or she will have at least completely rejected your church and their views of sexual denial in marriage. At any one of these points, your wife could have threatened to leave, or has already left. You may be separated or in divorce proceedings. Really? What? But I want you to understand something. It is not your responsibility to keep your wife in the marriage by any means necessary, and certainly not by giving in to her willful, rebellious, and sinful behavior. Oh, fuck me. Here we go. The Apostle Paul writes, "But if the unbeliever leaves, let them leave. A brother or sister is not bound in such cases." Corinthians 7:15. Remember that in Matthew. Fuck me. Remember that in Matthew, Christ told us to regard an unrepentant professed believer as an unbeliever. There is no sin here for you as a Christian husband to simply let her go. You are no longer bound and are free to marry another woman before you're even divorced. Okay. My pastor told us that he had to... Holy fuck, now we got a fucking testimonial. Okay. My pastor told us that he had to deal with some rebellious times with his own wife, and his translation of "let him or her leave" was "there's the door" when she would threaten to leave. I kind of actually agree with that, but whatever.
Yeah.
But not... Yeah, we'll get into that. But if you provide a good life for your wife, and maybe she's willing to overlook what you did in steps 1 and 3 and just stick it out, she may be even betting on the fact that eventually you will go back to leaving her alone about quote-unquote all this sex stuff, and things get back to normal, the normal life she has come to love. Holy fuck me. This is where we begin the next phase of confronting your wife's sexual refusal. I don't think it would be wrong to perhaps be doing some of these steps at the same time you are doing the first 3 steps, provided that you are married to a professed believing wife. Just send me number 4 now and get the fucking band-aid off.
Nope, we're not there yet. We haven't rebuked this.
So because I'm tired, or I have my period, or I'm just not in the mood, I have lost the faith.
Yeah.
Because apparently the faith is in dick, ladies and gentlemen. The faith is in dick. The faith is not in God, ladies and gentlemen. The faith is in dick.
What I don't get is, where do the unbelievers come in?
Apparently,
I mean,
if you don't believe in fucking your husband, then you're an unbeliever in Christ.
What really pisses me off, though, is how they're saying, she's being rebellious. Not, she might have a valid point that you're being a demanding asshole, and she's raising, your 8 kids, and at the end of the day, she looks in the mirror and goes, who would fuck me? I would not fuck me. I would not
Right.
fuck me so hard.
Or she's fed up with the fact that she's taking care of the 8 kids on her own while you know, granted, yes, you're going to work, but you come home and immediately fuck up the clean house and get the kids riled up, and you don't even ask her how her day was.
Exactly.
Or say, hey, you look nice today or something.
Yeah, this one is just... I don't even... She has chosen to act like an unbeliever, and now she will be treated as such. Okay, so according to you guys...
And what constitutes a healthy sex life in a marriage?
To me, I think it's a spectrum of finding a healthy balance between what partner A wants and what partner B wants. I mean...
Now, this sounds like if you're not giving into what partner A wants, partner B is completely cast out.
Yes, exactly. If one party is not happy, and that party that's not happy is or not getting what they feel they're entitled to, and I use that word specifically, then they're the ones who are being wronged, and it's the other ones who's problematic. And this is the problem with privilege. I like how they say, at any of these points, if she hasn't left, maybe she's just
I do
hoping.
agree with the fact of if you're going to keep threatening to leave, then walk. I do.
Oh, exactly. I think anybody who's willing
because
to...
threatening to leave and end the relationship for control is something abusers do.
It really is.
That is an abusive tactic. But if this is all coming down over sex, then...
And, if it's just sex, I mean, let's face it, there's more to sex than just sex.
Well,
I mean,
let me lead you in on a little bit of a conversation. If your sex life in a marriage is lacking this bad, then there's underlying issue. There are underlying... The sex in a marriage does not just go bad just because.
And that's true.
There's not one couple I've met that has turned to me and said, everything else is perfect, we just don't have sex. Then obviously not everything is perfect.
And unless, both partners are professing asexuals, then not having sex is...
we're not going to discuss, different variables and shit like that.
No, we're not. I mean, as long as... I do think that, in a relationship, you're going to naturally have partner A wants sex more than partner B. And
right. And there may be passing times where partner B wants it more at this time than partner
exactly. And, it's on both parties to try to find a healthy balance where,
right.
Maybe if partner A wants it more, partner B tries to at least express a little interest. And
then a great divide in it, then it's both partner A and partner B's responsibility to figure out why there's such a great divide.
And if there's anything that can be done about it. I mean,
right.
If at one point in time you were sexually compatible and that phase wasn't just, like for a month, but that phase lasted for a prolonged period, then clearly there's been some sort of a change. And, that's where I think step 2 has merits in going to see a counselor. I don't agree with seeing a Christian counselor because I'm sorry, that's somebody with an agenda. You go see an objective counselor, somebody who has sworn to look at their patients and do their best to represent the patient's best interests.
All right, give me number 4.
Oh, you are gonna love
There's
this
how many?
one.
8?
Yeah. So, step number 4. Stop taking her on dates or trips. Go.
Man. Damn it. I can't even read this shit with a straight face, man. Stop taking your wife to her favorite restaurants. Stop taking her out to those movies she wants to see. Don't take her on the weekend getaways she wants to go on. I'm not saying to stop talking to your wife or ignore your wife, as this is not an option for a Christian husband. But your wife does not have the right to take her dates, for you to take her dates or trips, her on dates or trips, I'm sorry. These things are a privilege that you may remove at any time. And this guy's hoping to get laid again.
Does this not read like the abusive boyfriend god?
Yeah. I will take it all away from you if you violate me at one instance. I will take all my love.
The first 3 steps, if you put them in proper context, you cut out the religious bullshit.
And the subservient bullshit, the man is,
You cut out the rebellious wife bullshit, and you address them in an objective manner and say, if somebody is, approach your partner. If that doesn't work, maybe you guys need counseling.
Right.
And, so really that just leaves steps 1 and 2. But this is the beginning of the abuse. Because I'm sorry, sitting there saying your wife does not have the right for you to take her on dates or trips.
To make her feel like a human being that's worthy.
And I'm sorry, but this is... When we were 8 years old, if we hit a classmate and a teacher caught us, we could not look and say, well, they hit me first, and get away with it. That just didn't work. So why the fuck would it work as an adult? that I've always wondered about.
I'm like, man, this guy is just spiraling towards divorce right now. Like,
Now, and we're going to use this specific example because this is dealing with, wives who aren't sexually interested in their husbands, and that's how I'm going to refer to this article. 1:30 a.m., 12:30 a.m. does wonders for us.
it's 1:30 by me, yeah.
So if in the instance where a wife is not sexually interested in her husband, as a male, I can understand your self-esteem is negatively impacted. I get that.
Right.
Somebody is not expressing sexual interest in you, and you're reliant on that person because you're in a monogamous relationship. I can understand where you would start to feel a little underappreciated.
Right.
However,
However,
there is two sides to this coin because there are two parties where maybe there's something that she's feeling isn't being met. There's something that you're not doing. Maybe there's another sexual desire that is the only one that she can find interest in, Maybe she's really turned on to the cup-spitting porn these days. There are far too many factors for us to really consider. But seriously? This is an abusive tactic. This is
emotional abuse.
This is nya. You did that to me, so I'm going to do this to you. You're not giving me what I want, so I'm not giving you what you want. And let's be fucking brutally honest. Let's put this into a specific scenario. If, as a woman, you're a full-time stay-at-home mom dealing with a couple of kids, at the end of the day, you're fucking exhausted.
Just to have to cook dinner for this asshole while he sits on his ass.
I mean, I've babysat children. Even after like 2 hours, I'm fucking exhausted, so I can only imagine cooking for them, cleaning up the house. Jen, please feel free to add any activities.
Oh, yeah. And they,
It's laundry and...
It's laundry and it's cleaning. And as soon as you clean, you turn around, the fucking place is a goddamn mess anyway. And,
Exactly.
you gotta sit down. You gotta teach these kids some shit. And you gotta do activities. And they don't want to sit for longer than 10 fucking minutes. At the end of my day, I'm fucking shot. I am shot at the end of the day. And even at the end of the day, you still have to, I know, like when my son's in school, at the end of the day, I have to make his lunch and then pick everything up from, his playing for the day and, get some kind of cleaning done in peace. It's like me and my sister have a rule. Even if I'm doing my floors, there's no kids in my fucking living room past 9 o'clock, so I want to do it in peace. You know what I mean? It's tiring. And to then bring on someone that, yes, is working full time, but just kind of plops down and zones out and doesn't pay attention to you and doesn't pay attention to the children as soon as they come home, just continuing your work day is exhausting. And you wind up resenting somebody for that shit.
Exactly.
That's you resent people for that shit.
You do. And that creates a great deal of tension in any...
And the first thing to go in a situation like that is sex, because what's the first thing your wife's going to think? If I fuck him and he gets me pregnant again, that's another fucking kid I got to add to this mix.
Absolutely fucking true. I honestly could not fucking imagine. You know what? We've been at this for a while. It's late. I think Jen would like to go to bed.
Yeah, I actually need a cigarette is what I need. I'm sitting here, I'm not even going to tell you what I'm doing right now.
I don't want to know about the porn you're looking at.
It's not porn. Oh, it's Game of Thrones shit. I'm so deep in this.
So, on that note, we have covered 4, so I think we'll cover the next 4 for our topic discussion next week.
And thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm sure the hate mail will be abundant.
Yeah, might as well. So, with that, have a great evening. I'm Keith.
I'm Jenn. Stay frosty, bitches.
Stay frosty, bitches. The Not Another Atheist podcast experience is run by Jenn and Keith. If you wish to contact the show, you may email them at nehehp@gmail.com. What the fuck?
The faith is not in God, ladies and gentlemen. The faith is in dick.
I hope Hitler ass rapes you with a pineapple. So,
That's
Jen's
awesome.
a bitch, by the way.